My Time Podcast with Asher Tchoua.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear.
Awesome.
How was your week?
Uh, it has been pretty well, despite the whole allergies. I've been fighting allergies like crazy, but
Got you.
happy to be here and alive.
That's good. The pollen's getting to you a little bit.
Yes, it is, definitely.
Got you. Yeah. I guess that's one thing I always have to be mindful of during this time of the springtime. I guess the pollen, at least in Georgia, it's all over the place. But
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I don't have to deal with that just yet. But I feel your pain. All right. I empathize.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Uh, Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate this because I know in wanting to start a podcast and joining Breathe University, I believe that's how I first saw you. I came across your podcast and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like
Yeah.
different people are out here having conversations about things they like. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I could maybe speak with you. And you
Yeah.
said yes. So here we are.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm always open to help, guide, and just be resourceful. That should be my middle name, resourceful. I love being resourceful for other people. So, yeah.
Nice. So, I guess one way I've been starting things off, I always like to ask the question, who do you say you are?
Who do I say I am? Ooh, that's a good question. Who do I say I am? I am Carla Broadnax. Carla Ogletree Broadnax is now what I add to my name since losing my dad. He didn't have any sons, but that name, Ogletree, and that definitely signifies who I am. That name means so much. It's like confidence, which is why I'm wearing one of our BU friends with I Wear Me is the name of her company.
Nice.
Yeah, this is
I was thinking
confidence.
about her this morning. I was just like, I had somebody else's shirt on earlier and I was like, I'll just put on this one. It's like, if somebody asks what I'm wearing, I'm just like, I'm wearing me. It's
Right,
no
there you
brand
go.
on
I
it.
wear me. Exactly. But I'm someone that is, like I said, resourceful, confident, and knows what she wants. I used to be very undecisive about things. Now I'm decisive. Like I know what I want. I know
Right.
what lane I'm going to stay in. I know what works for Carla
Right.
and what doesn't, and I have boundaries. So boundaries are a big thing too. So that's pretty much who I am. There's so much more, but definitely confident in this new era of life. You gotta have that.
Yeah.
Gotta have that.
100%.
Yeah.
It's funny. I like how you kind of set that up because like of course mentioning I wear me and bringing up confidence and boundaries. I feel like those are definitely the game changers of things that have helped me out along with gratitude of course. But
Yes.
um how like when was it that you accepted this version of yourself?
Well, I accepted it a long time ago. So I'm a transplant from Los Angeles, California. I'm here in the Midwest now. Been
Okay.
here for about 20 plus years. I've always honed the confidence because in high school, people will come to me and say, Carla, can you help me with this? Carla, can you help me with this? And I would be so afraid with my advice because, I'm only 16, 17 years old, but you guys are confiding in me. Where is this coming from? Why do people feel so obliged to share a lot of deep information with me and hope to get a good response on how to handle that situation.
Right.
And that actually blossomed into how I got here. I dropped out of D1 university. I decided to travel the states, 10 different states. And, and I did that fearlessly. I just did it. I knew what I wanted. So when I did that, that's when I'm like, wow, you you are a goat. You can handle a lot of things, and sometimes you are afraid and you're scared, but you don't show it. And people enjoy that about you. And
Mhm.
so I learned to hone that confidence. I learned to hone um, that fearless mindset, even though in the back of my head, I'm like, I hope this works out. There was a lot of praying going on in the background that I didn't show to my friends, but like, man, this has to work. And so we purchased 10 airline tickets to 10 different states.
Mm,
And Kansas City, Missouri was number 7. I met
gotcha.
my boyfriend, who's now my husband, and been here ever since.
Mm,
So I've always had the gift of pushing and going onward and getting what I want. My mom instilled in us at a very young age, she's a single parent raising 5 children. She always told us that the oppression that we are living in right now, you don't have to have the same type of lifestyle.
right.
Like, I want you to do better than me. And so when she said that, I was like, huh, I can be better than you, because we look up to our parents, right? You
Right.
never think to say, oh, I'm gonna just be better than you because you're just awful or whatever it is. But she flipped the script and was like, look, this is what I can afford. This is what I am subjective to. And I should have made bigger dreams when I had you all, but I didn't. So
Right.
don't be subjected to it, right? So right there is where the seed was planted of honing my world, honing what I wanted, go after what you want, fearlessly and unapologetically. So,
Mm,
yeah.
that's good.
So that's where it pretty much started.
I like
And I'm
that.
still traveling now, and my kids are always like, can we leave the country? Like, absolutely, let's go.
I
So,
guess when you said it was when you were 16 and people were coming to you for advice, were these your peers or like older, like adults?
so no, they were my peers. One of them in particular, she was in the music industry, and she was a traveling songstress. She was traveling everywhere in high school. She was my best friend,
Mm,
and um, I was pretty much like her manager, and I just love structure. I love knowing that building and selling and redeeming people, it just gives me all the feels. And I always said, she was like, so when I become successful, what do you want? Because you're always there, you're very business, you're always straight to the point, and you're not afraid of adults. And a lot of kids, that age, we used to be a little afraid of them, but I didn't.
mm,
They're humans just like us, and it's just the way you communicate. So like I teach my kids, it's okay to challenge an adult as long as you're doing it respectively,
right.
it can go off pretty well. So I think that has a lot to do with that confidence at a young age, and probably getting out of mischief myself with my parents on how to redeem myself and how to stand up for myself on certain matters. So I just learned how to speak up. And there was a time where I didn't. So that was the perfect time in my life in high school when people wanted me to, they people, meaning my peers, wanted my opinion,
Right.
because they saw, this super imaginable confidence in a 16, 17-year old. It's like, who are you and where are you from? I'm right up the street, I'm from the neighborhood. So it's just the seeds that we plant in our kids, they blossom somewhere along their life, and you finally realize, you know what, I am that person, I can do these things, because it was planted early on.
Mm,
So yeah.
got you. And that, I guess earlier when you were saying that you were transplanted from LA or from,
Mhm.
did you say LA or California?
Yeah, LA, Los
Okay,
Angeles,
got you.
California. Mhm.
Okay. I guess when you said that, I was thinking you must still have fond memories of it, um, even
Yes,
after 20 years.
absolutely.
Got you.
I'm a through and through California girl. Like, I've been here 20 plus years, but I would never call myself a Midwest girl. I'm a West Coast girl. My children are Midwest children, but I am through and through. I love my community. I love everything about South Central Los Angeles. I used to hide that. I used to tell people that, and I was from different parts of California because I was embarrassed sometimes of the backlash or what people would probably think of me or say about me because, oh, you come from Los Angeles. So there's a lot of riots, there's this, there's that, gangs and all that. Yeah, we have all of that.
Mhm.
And I experienced all of that. But you know what? That's what made me. So why should I hide that? Why should I push that under the rug and tell you that I'm from somewhere else? I'm not. What about the my community that's there? You
Right.
know, there's kids still being raised in that community. So if they hear stories from me that I was brought up right in the neighborhood, gang affiliated, all of that,
Mhm.
and they see where I'm at now, like that's that's what it means to have a story. You know, people desire to hear stories. They desire to hear where other people come from. We may not think it, but we got to remember that, you know, the person before us, God walked this land sharing parables,
Mhm.
sharing stories. So
Right.
if it wasn't for his stories, he would never had a following, right? So
Right.
I have to share those stories um, with people that are, you know, didn't grow up like me, and
Mhm.
others that did grow up like me, because it's who I am. People are like, you went to this wonderful school and you dropped out. Yes, I did, but there
Mhm.
was a time I would have never said that
Right.
because I was afraid of what you thought about me. But
Mhm.
it's actually the real story people want. People want
Right.
authentic, real stories, and I like to be that person, to be authentic.
I like that. The
Hmm.
something I was just talking with a coach of mine yesterday, and I guess you'd say coach slash counselor was talking about self-image, kind of how I view myself. And
Hmm.
that's as I'm thinking on what you just said and reflecting on it, one thing I'm understanding, I'll be 31 this month. So
Nice.
it's been it's been a trip, I guess you would
Yeah.
say. Yeah. Because it in trying to move forward, the best thing that I found that's been very helpful is really unpacking the past.
Hmm.
And in doing that, it's really addressing the things that I may have hidden or have been ashamed of to think, oh, what's so and so going to think? But to your point, exactly, it's
Yeah.
I'm not going to stay concerned with what they're going to think. And me being authentically myself
Yeah.
really shines through and it helps attract the people that I want to be around, attract the places where I want to go, like even traveling, like you're saying. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'll be in Mexico a few weeks from now for the first
Nice.
time, and be able to enjoy that. And I just found it. I just find it very. Um, what's the word? I guess another thing that came out of the conversation was talking about the law of attraction. So it's like
Yes.
the energy you put out, the things you think about, that's what you
You get
draw
it
to
back.
you. So lo and
Hmm.
behold, having a conversation yesterday and then talking to you, and of course, like the same beats kind of come through in the conversation, the same
Yeah.
like the law of attraction, the law of gravity, the laws of nature, I guess they're not something that you can bend. And I guess it's something
Right.
that works good, bad, and indifferent, where it's just sometimes things just happen that are not in your control and you just have to roll with the punches.
That's right. And that opens the door for another story,
Right.
right? Those challenges help unlock other people's prisons.
Right.
There's people that are in prisons in their mind
Mhm.
because of shame, because of what they may think their family may think of them. But if
Right.
I were to come out and say, hey, I'm from Los Angeles, California, I was gang affiliated, I was this, I did that, you know what? But that was all a part of my story.
Mhm.
I've been through some serious challenges from that. I cried and boohoo about it, but you know what? I refuse to stay there. I
Mhm.
refuse to stay there mentally, right? Because I have to keep growing.
Right.
especially when I have little people that I'm raising. I don't want anyone that that come in my path
Hmm.
that feel like they have to be subjective to their story. Their story is going to help unlock somebody else's prison in their mind. I share, I'm unlocking something. Somebody's like, ah, I get it. I see where she's coming from. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that means so much to me because there's a lot of broken people who are broken in here, you know,
Hmm.
but they put on a facade on the outside and then they wonder why the success is not coming or why they can't find the perfect job or the relationship. Well, there's some things that you have locked up mentally, right? And
Right.
so you spoke on laws of attraction. You attract what you think. You know, mindset is powerful. So if I'm constantly thinking negativity all the time, that's the type of energy that's coming my way all the time, right? But
Right.
if I can think myself rich and know that I'm successful and I will be this traveling person all over the world and only have $5 in my bank account, like that's the crazy mindset. But you want to attract the people that comes to your circle that be like, hey, you know what? I'm looking to travel such and such, such and such. Do you want to
Hmm.
go? Like it
Right.
just be random things like that that will happen
Hmm.
to me and other people that I know just by changing the way you think and how you process. So
Gotcha.
that's a big, big, big point. Laws of attraction is big.
Yeah, that's awesome. Uh, I guess not to take a hard left turn, but kind of in
Sure.
the same vein, looking at where we are now to where you may have been last year around this time,
Mhm.
what would you say you gained from the year of 2020?
In the year of 2020, I learned to accept challenges. I learned to accept, you know, we always wake up and say, oh, it's going to be a great day. I want a great day. To not get discouraged in the wilderness. You
Mm,
know, that's what 2020 taught me, to not be discouraged in the wilderness because there's going to always be days like that, right? But
right.
I have to continue to blossom. I got to continue to shine even when it's uncomfortable, right? 2020 made everyone uncomfortable. No one knew this was coming. We can never predict the future, right?
Right.
But once we knew it was there and we were all confined and we had to quarantine, it was a whole nother world. I learned to embrace it. And it taught me to look deeper into Carla and to focus on, now, are you only going to celebrate when it's good? Are you going to celebrate or you're not going to celebrate when it's bad? So
Mm,
I learned with my children, I'm like, look, this is still a great opportunity for us to probably get to know each other more because our household was so busy,
yeah.
like dropping off, picking up. You know, I got a college student in Pennsylvania. My now 11-year-old, he didn't know how to jump rope. He did not know how to, he's like, how do you, but that gave an opportunity to open up opportunities, right? To
Hmm.
slow it down. You don't know how to jump rope? Okay, I got you. Let's go get a jump rope. You're gonna learn how to jump rope today. Like it's just little things like that, but it made a big thing for him because he's like, I never knew how to do it. I always see the girls jumping rope and I just didn't get it and it just didn't click. But you know, so
Right.
him learning how to jump rope taught me how to slow down, taught me how to be more in tune with my children, even with my business, just slowing it down. And I think 2020. I don't look at it any kind of ill or hate or anything about it. I was so thankful for 2020 and for 2021 and the many years to come. That's the mindset I've learned to stay in and to really always stay in the state of service.
Mm,
I've learned to always stay in the state of service, even though I may not get paid for this or get paid for that, but the world truly opens up for you when you stay in that mindset of service. So that's what I did. I continued to stay in service. I donated here, I gave here, even though I was like, man, 2020, what's up? I'm working from home all the time now. Like, these are prayers that people ask for, or prayers that people asked for, or they didn't know how to say it. They were saying, "Oh, I'm so tired of working." Like, I just look at 2020 like these are blessings that people asked for, and we got it, right?
Yeah.
Some people said they wanted to be home more, work from home. Some people wanted to be home with their children. Someone wanted to be home to help a ailing family member. Like, these are blessings or requests that went up, and we received them. And so
Right.
now we receive them and we're like, wait, what do we do? Hold on, I gotta stay in. I can't travel. Like, we panicked. But I
Right.
just learned, I embraced it. I truly embraced it. I found fun in it. I got to meet neighbors that I didn't even know, that were having issues that I could have been pouring into, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm this, conversations with Carla. I love having conversations, and there's power in communication. So I just learned to always stay in the state of service, and the world truly opens up. And it did. 2020 was daunting for many, but my 2021 has opened up tremendously. It's like those prayers that I put in the ground, seeds that I planted,
Mhm.
helping others, doing for others, just authentically from my heart. It's like the harvest is fabulous in 2021. And I'm ready for this year and the years to come.
Awesome. And I guess another thing I guess you spoke to in that is really I kept hearing through and through is gratitude, like being aware of what you have, also being aware of the moment, um, of what you're facing,
Hmm.
and choosing the good in it, choosing to see the good out of that, and not dwelling
Yeah,
on, I don't have this, I'm not getting this in the way that I want it. This
that's
could be
right.
better. Oh, like this, that, or the other isn't going my way. It's like if you've put all your attention on those things, it would have made it a lot more
Oh yeah.
difficult. And I know for myself, that's part of what I did. I was in the start of the year, it's like I started on a high where it's like new job, new environment, new people,
Hmm.
different things like that, trying to get 2 to 3 projects going off at the same time, which of
Hmm.
course I found out that's not very intelligent. And I was
Right.
kind of reminded of that by reading the one thing, the book,
Hmm.
the one thing by I think it's Grant Keller or Gary
Okay.
Keller, maybe. But really, the focus there, it's kind of doubling down on the 80-20 rule, which is focusing your attention on one thing to get you the results that you need throughout your life. And when you think about it, even something like the word priorities has been used over and over, maybe since like the 80s, or I don't know when priorities became a thing, but the
Hmm.
origin of the word is priority. And when you put your focus on one priority, like everything else that I wanted to do just opened up. And it's like, ah, funny how that works. It's like
Yeah.
you focus on knocking down the little domino, and like the 10-foot domino that you thought was impossible, there's a time constraint on it, or I don't know where the money's going to come from. It's like it kind of shows up, but
Yeah.
it's like a little bit of gratitude, a little bit of appreciation for where you're at, and real
Yeah.
focus on this is what I want to do with conviction, and that you actually getting up and doing it, not grumbling and complaining, goes a long
Right.
way.
It does. Gratitude unlocks abundance, is what I tell everyone. It unlocks abundance. Um, Financially, health wise, people like to look at abundance as money. It's not always just money, right? The money will come when you tap into your purpose, your gift, or your focus, or whatever it is, whatever you need for that project, whatever you need to pay a bill, whatever it will come. I
Nice.
learned not to worry about those things. I really don't. I don't worry about those things because they happen.
Right.
They happen.
It's funny, I keep looking up and I'm trying to figure out, I just got this webcam, so I'm trying to look into the camera, but I'm trying to
Uh,
look at my screen because I'm looking at you when you're talking. So I'm like,
oh, okay.
I'm like, which way
Or
am I
your screen
going?
must be up top.
So
Yeah.
just if you're trying to figure out on your end, like, what's he looking at? Like, I'm looking at my computer screen that has you
Oh,
on it
okay.
versus like,
Okay.
I'm not used to looking into the camera
And
yet,
yourself.
or maybe it's not positioned just right. So
Okay.
I don't, maybe that'll help,
Okay.
but
Yep.
I'm
Everything looks
learning.
fine here. So, yep. This is how we learn.
Right.
Awesome.
But you mentioned the business earlier. Is it
Mhm.
strictly Carla conversations, or is there more going on in the background?
Sure. So it's called Conversations with Carla. And that's like the name of my business, Conversations with Carla. And I truly teach people um, to not bury their story. Um, by me sharing my story, and not only just with close friends and family, I also shared them in interviews.
Mm,
I gave a short, because I believe vulnerability goes a long way. I really do. I really believe that if people just share a little bit of themselves, I'm not saying, give them the whole story, about, for me, for my example, like giving them the whole story about me being gang affiliated, right? They don't
mm,
need to know the depths of that,
right.
but to let them know that there were challenges, but I prevailed,
Mm,
right? And you want someone with that kind of mindset, with that type of character trait working for you, because
right.
not only is she, knocking down these deadlines, but she's not going to give up, right? Is what
Right.
it shares with me when when you share a little bit of vulnerability. So once I started doing that, when I was in my law career, I retired from that about 18, I was 18, 19 years as a paralegal. In my interviews, I would share that I was from Los Angeles, California, and I would get these big eyes, your normal type of Gallup interviews with people that don't look like me.
Mm,
And I didn't want a somber story. I didn't want you to hire me because, oh, poor Carla was brought up this way, da 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 da. No, I found the points and the triggers that will prompt you to hire me, because
mm,
you need someone like me. Is
right.
what I always tell my kids when they're in school or walking into a room where they're not being represented. Guess what? You need me, and you need me there. I
Mm,
may be the only one, but you need me in your presence. And it's not to be arrogant, but
right.
it's to let people so it won't kill your confidence, right?
Right.
Because you have some people who kind of shrink a little bit, and
Mm,
shrink meaning not being themselves and being confident in who they are. And so they'll shrink because of the peers that don't look like them. No, you hone that.
right.
So I learned to hone my stories in my interviews, and I've received so many jobs, all because not even what's on the black and white, because we
Mm,
know I got the education. We know I sell up on my value and my experience, right?
mm,
I believe that you don't need a degree to get any of these jobs. If you know how to speak up on your value and your
right.
experience, you could get any job,
Mm,
because that's what employers want. They want someone who is not afraid,
mm,
and who can walk into, in their own confidence and lead that position.
right.
So in a couple of interviews that I had, people were like, I don't even want to go through your resume. I want to know a little bit more about you. Okay, bet. We got time, because
Mm,
they were so impressed to have someone in their presence that use their stories, that use their challenges, and be thankful for those challenges that they went through, to bring them on the table and to sell that story to get that position. And
right.
I got all my jobs that way. Um, all my jobs that way. Um, I teach women now after reading, I read a lot of books, but I learned statistically that 89% of men walk in the position don't even have the skill set,
Yeah.
don't even have, but they don't, but that's not a bad thing. It's just that unfortunately some women like myself, I used to do this too,
Mhm.
would only look at the details of the job. Oh, I don't have that, I can't do this, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to apply. Well,
Right.
you got 89% of men walking into positions with no skill set, and they're so confident,
Yeah.
and they get the job. So why can't I have that same experience? So before reading that book, I had the same mindset. I was
Mhm.
like, if Johnny can get that job, I can get this job too. And I'm not going to even throw color and all of that in it, because again, if I throw that out there, then that's what I'm going to attract.
Yeah.
That's the energy
Exactly.
we know is there, right? I
Right.
can't ignore that it's not there, but I refuse to, especially if I'm hungry and I want this job and I know what it's going to pay
Mhm.
and I want it, I'm going to shift my mindset to, not the negatives, and just say, you know what? You need me, and
Right.
this is why. What this resume don't tell you or doesn't show you is my heart.
Mhm.
And that's how I'll start my interviews. You got the paper because that's what you all expect for all your interested parties for your position.
Mhm.
But what that resume doesn't show you is my heart. And I'm
Right.
here to show you my heart.
Gotcha.
So it's that mindset that you eventually, you gain, and I've taught a lot of women how to do this, even some men too, that you can't look at the negative, man. Ugh. If you look at the negatives, you're going to get exactly what you asked for. If you
Yeah.
say, I can't, I won't get it, you're right. You won't get it.
Yep.
The power of the mind, some people don't really get it. I know you get it. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
The mind is so powerful. Like, wow, like just be where I'm at today. It's like, okay, this is exactly what I asked for. This
Yeah.
is exactly what I used to write down as a kid. I want to have this. I want to be successful in this. I want to have that. I don't want to beg and borrow. Like, these are things that I asked for, and I'm getting it. So I teach in conversations with Carla, I teach you to have those conversations, to open up, to share a little bit of vulnerability. Because when you share, then you develop that confidence. You truly do, because you're like, you know what? Yeah, that's me. Yeah, it was ugly, but look at me now. And that's what people want to hear. They want to hear those stories, those redeeming stories, redemptive stories of redeeming yourself. So yeah,
Love
that's
that.
how Conversations with Carla was started, just by me being authentic in interviews, and it was like landing jobs, having several um, job opportunities coming after me. And I'm like, did they even look at my resume? You want to hire me? You gonna pay me this much?
Right.
Wow, that's awesome. So that's where it all came from, and some.
Yeah. So I mean, with that, having so many jobs, do you treat them as like contract jobs, or like on retainer, or do you do like the 9 to 5 and then have conversations with Carla separate?
So another thing, just to circle back to what else that 2020 did for me. So I told you I retired as a paralegal. I did that back in 2017,
Okay.
2018. And I did that. I retired from that when I went to Haiti. I visited Haiti in 2016.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
2016, 2017. And that's when I came back. I was like, oh, it's not about the money. It's
Mm,
not about America got it all wrong. Haiti has taught me so much still to this day.
yeah.
My kids will say, oh, here she goes. She's about to give you a Haiti story, because it was that authentic, and it was that plain. Like, it's not about the stuff. It's not about the money. It's like, it's about here. And Haiti taught me so much. So I told my employer at the time, I said, here's my letter of resignation. I'm sorry. And he said, I knew something different was coming. He said, your energy was different when you came back from Haiti. Like, wow, you felt that too? He's like, yeah. And you don't even have to share any of your stories. I mean, he's like, I know you shared a little bit, but I can feel it. And I expected you to resign because I know you found something greater. And I did. So once I did that, I became a teacher. I started substitute teaching. I went back to school, got my master's in education, and like, okay. And then COVID hit in March of last year. During our spring break, I was getting ready to apply for these teaching positions that I made friends or network with a lot of the principals in our school district, and COVID hit. And I'm like, okay, I know I'm not going to sit here for long. I know you have something else for me. And I know I'm capable of doing anything, is my mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did not want to fold under pressure. I did not want to fold um, under the fact that I won't be able to teach and do all these great things that I truly enjoy doing. But I knew my finances would be taken care of, and I stayed in confidence in that. Um, I was given an opportunity to apply for an IT position. Who knew? Who would think, Carla, of all people, apply for an IT position? IT is not me. Like, I will call my husband. He's the IT guru in the house. He works in IT. That's him. I'm a communicator. A lot of people in that industry don't like to communicate much. You know, a lot of them are, especially the
You
one I'm
don't
married to,
say.
like, yeah, the communication is just not their thing. And I'm like, I'm too much for IT. They're gonna be like, ma'am, that's too much information. But I applied again, redeeming myself again, not looking at my experience, because I don't have IT experience. I got law, I have law experience, and I have education experience.
Mm.
And then everything else is just a hustler mindset. I ended up landing the job, and I'm still there. And they're trying to get me to be a project manager for this and that. But
Mm.
I redeemed myself,
Right.
and I showed that I can do anything, and we can do anything if we kill that negative mindset. I never knew I would be in IT.
Yeah.
So IT is what I'm currently doing right now. And I'm just letting the person above to lead my next steps. I mean, like, the world is starting to open up, and I really want to get conversations with Carla more active, doing a lot of projects and such. And the world is opening up in that sense as well. So um, I hope that answered your question. I,
Yeah,
I
it
can
did.
chatty
It
chat
did.
a little bit. Okay.
No, you're good. It did. And hopefully this is a launching point for this, for getting conversations with Carla back up and going. Um,
Yes.
because I think maybe this will be July or August when people see or hear this. And
Okay.
for me, myself, I started in fall of 2019. I put out the first episode in October, and it was just
Hmm.
having a conversation with a buddy of mine I met the year prior, and just he was telling me his background about being a barber, and I was like, crap, you know what? I should be recording this because I've been sitting here plotting and planning for the last 2 to 3 months, and I've had
Yeah.
this idea on my brain. And I went to one of the ETA conferences. I think
Oh, good.
it was in Philly, 2019, and
Okay.
it was like coming off of, I guess, of I'll just call it a funk. I really can't stand the word depression, and I don't like the stigma attached to it. But I know
Yeah.
a lot of people go through it. People get stuck, and especially with the
Hmm.
negative thinking, it's like you open the door in and let that in. It's gonna sit. It's gonna
It is.
pull up a seat next to the
It
fire.
sure
It's gonna
will.
put its
It
coat
sure
up,
will.
take off the hat or whatnot, and yeah, that stuck around a little bit too long. But in
Hmm.
listening to other podcasts like Joe Rogan, and especially one with Jordan Peterson, he's a
Hmm.
psychologist out of Canada. He really spoke to the heart of getting yourself together and taking on that personal responsibility, where
Hmm.
many people, I think I've heard um I don't know what his rank was, but it was a military captain or someone higher up, and he gave a talk to a graduation class, and he
Okay.
was basically telling them, if you want to change the world, start by making your bed. And so many people always laugh at that because it's like, it's hard, or I guess we think it's hard to do the things that involve us. Like it's hard
Yeah,
to say, okay, I'm gonna make my bed. It seems so simple because like, no, I want to deal with the climate change. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's like, yeah, you can't do any of those things unless you set your house in order, unless you
that's
do
right.
what it is that you need to do for yourself. Like, don't fool
Hmm.
yourself into thinking. Now I'm talking to myself literally. Don't fool
Hmm.
yourself into thinking that you're going to go save the world. That's where the term, it's like, what good is it that you save the world and lose your soul in the sense, or you lose yourself in the sense? Because it's like having this idea of what you want to do, having these dreams and goals, they're great. But if you're not yourself, then it's like, what are you really doing? Like you're
Right.
perpetrating, you're telling a false story, you're trying to hide the
Hmm.
past away. And it's like, no, people really want to know that, because it's like once they
That's
know
right.
where you came from, they know
Hmm.
who they're talking to and who's talking to them.
This is the It's My Time podcast with Asher Tchoua.